aggressive maneuvers anymore because Flash just has the troops now. Meanwhile, he has to start resaturing. Look at that. Look at that. Both the 7 o'clock bases and the 9 are barely saturated. They're not giving him the resources he needs. And now he's going to get dropped again heavily. One turret in the way. That's not going to be enough. Huge drop on top of this 9 o'clock. That might actually finally finish it off right behind the minerals where he's going to face the least offense. So even if Fantasy gets some troops in there, he's not going to be able to save that base too easily. But Flash still doing a great job. Another dropship is actually going to get killed before it does anything. But the command center should get floated off momentarily, and meanwhile does have his 11 o'clock natural being put up. Fantasy finally going to come into play here, just dropping on top of a few of these siege tanks. That's going to get the job done. Dropping a little sparsely, so not the best, but still going to clear that up. Command center stays in play, but he desperately needs to resaturate. It just doesn't seem like he has the reinforcements coming at the rate he needs. Really, just those 3 bases on the lower left-hand side of the map, that 9, that 7 o'clock bases, they need to get him mining again. He needs to get those resources going because he is in trouble. He's trying to fight across the middle, but Flash just has so many siege tanks. And upgrade-wise, I think they're actually equal. I think I saw that right there. Give me a tank, give me a fantasy tank. Yes, upgrade-wise, they are equal, so that's not a factor anymore. Just fight out with those tanks. Who has the better micro? That's right now. That's hitting it right now. And Fantasy needs to saturate his bases. He needs to saturate his bases or he is in trouble. Flash has meanwhile gotten himself up economically extremely well. Has become significantly stronger economically and has gotten himself very well back into this game because Fantasy is looking like he's in a little bit of trouble. It just doesn't look like he's coming in with enough reinforcements. Seemed like there was a base that thought up of being put up. No, I think it was actually a turret, maybe, at the middle of the map. But we're going to see Flash yet again with forces at the 9. Fantasy trying to drop on top of it, losing his dropships. So Flash might actually hold this. Has a few siege tanks in there. I think Fantasy will take care of this with those dropships. Dropping tank skill buys is going to yet again clear up the 9 o'clock position. Constantly fighting Flash back at that position. Flash trying to go in there, still trying to do damage to Fantasy. Just hoping for his sake he keeps up saturation at his own bases. Has 8th factory, I think, on the way for producing tanks, for producing other things. Fantasy at the moment with 4 siege tank producing factory, three of them which are producing Goliaths at a constant rate. And Flash yet again clearing up a big position on the north side of the middle. Going in there, and it seems like he's also managed to clear up some of those turrets, and those turrets not just helping Fantasy out as much as he would hope at this point. And there's a shot girl. Oh my god! Fantasy fan, Flash fan, don't know. Fantasy trying to you can't move in across the middle at this point. Too many tanks. You need those dropships into play. He lost some of his fleet, but he should actually be able to reinforce it fairly quickly. At this point, the guys, they have 5 to 6 dropships. They stop building more until they lose them. You just need to continue pumping forces at that point. Okay, I have 5 to 6 dropships. These are enough. I need to pump troops. Can't be wasting these resources on dropships. I need to pump troops. And it does look like Flash is getting a hold on this match here. Fantasy hasn't really dealt the early blows here. Gonna get a nice drop here across this middle, clearing up the position. It does seem like this entire battle is a big fight for the middle here. I never stutter unless it's a TVT anymore. I never stutter. See how it goes there? It's insane. It's insane. I don't know where this is coming from. I need another punch of tea. I'm not getting my Trinity. So I'm not getting my Trinity. I'm not getting my sugar caffeine booze combo. I'm not getting it. This tea does not have any caffeine in it. It has a little bit of honey, so there's a little bit of sugar, and I still haven't any booze. So the Trinity is not complete. It's like a Trinity of fire. You can't make fire without a Trinity. You need those things. You need what was it? Oxygen. You need fuel and the other thing, the third thing. Crap. Where has... is that taught in physics or chemistry? I forget, but I totally forgotten my fire triangle. My God, let's see. I'm gonna be on this for the next 3 minutes and ignoring just the match. Oxygen, whatever. Oxygen, fuel source, and stuff to burn. I think. Yeah. But anyway. Flash is slowly at all times inching towards Fantasy. He's doing a great job of utilizing his dropship fleet. Both players at this point aren't really fielding and reinforcing in that large an amount, really. Not too much. And I'm always as surprised to see so many girls watching these games. It's like, only in Korea are you popular and a hero and, you know, a total sugar daddy, while just for being an awesome video game player. Only in Korea. You know, I wouldn't call myself an awesome, video game player, but I'm decent at RPGs. I don't see women falling all over me. Hey, what's up with that shit? Flash, it looks like he's going to go for a large push. Fantasy has reinforcements coming in at the right time, but is this going to be enough or not? Not too sure here. Let's see what he gets this done with this or not. Don't know why, but my video suddenly clicked into non-full screen. If he had paused, I would have been extremely annoyed, because I've commentated too much of this game to, sacrifice what's left of my life or something. And it looks like Fantasy actually going to try to take the middle for himself. That's really the only open resource they can, because the players have... Fantasy has the south, Flash has the north. Map is split up. Alright, this is pretty much what Fantasy wanted to avoid with his all-early maneuvers. He wanted to avoid this. He knew, I can be a base over Flash and win that way in the late game. He's meanwhile not managed to avoid this, but at least he has a nice fleet going. He's reinforcing, he's holding the middle, and he's trying to now they're fighting for this middle. This middle base. The minerals aren't as big a factor here, but the double gas, that's why he doesn't need that command center straight up in the middle. He just needs to be able to access that double gas, and that's going to be it. He has a few siege tanks in there. He needs to be close by to reinforce at any possible time that might be necessary. Flash has some forces nearby. Both of them have a bunch of dropships just floating around. Fantasy also has a few tanks on the right side of the middle. He's basically begging for Flash to try to move in through the middle, because he's going to be right on top of that. Flash knows if he tries to go for an offensive maneuver, pretty sure he knows that Fantasy is going to be right on top of him. He tries to drop on top of those tanks. He's going to find himself counter-drop pretty badly. Is going to drop on the right side here. Not too heavy. Just get a few siege tanks in there. Going to follow this up with some ground forces. Doesn't seem like Fantasy is going to answer. He is actually going to move in some of his own ground forces, trying to come in close, siege up, and force those forces back north. At the very least, holding Flash out of siege range. And Flash has forces all sides across this middle. He just desperately trying to go for an opening, trying to find himself an opening to try to do some damage. You're going to add in, float off one of his factories, going to add an additional machine shop, trying to keep up constant tank production. I think at this point, both these guys have saturated what rest they have. Fantasy, meanwhile, Flash has the 11 o'clock bases. That's the only thing he has. Fantasy, meanwhile, still has some mining at the 6, and both of his 7 o'clock bases, is that a word? At the 9 o'clock position. I'm not quite sure how he's doing in gas, but he's been forced to lose bases, retake them, retake them at 7 o'clock especially. So some of the gas, he should be getting some gas intake, but also he's getting that mineral intake. So his base is still staying alive, but he wants that double gas across in the middle, and that's going to give him a nice opportunity. His command center should actually be ready and going. Flash does go for a drop, moves in with his ground forces. Fantasy counter drops close by. Gonna counter siege here, moving as close with Goliath, is going to be able to hold back, is going to be forced to float off his command center. Not quite enough in his dropships to try to drop on top of Flash, but the very least going to keep Flash in check. Only 3 siege tanks on that north side of the middle, and Flash cannot risk a pincer. He's going to continue reinforcing it and going to continue to try to hold back Fantasy from that middle position and try to go back home and get some more reinforcements going. But it doesn't look like he's going to be able to constantly threaten this base, though. Fantasy needs to go out there and get some of his own reinforcements going, or else he's going to be in trouble. Both players at this point at least have some saturation. They're not fully saturating their bases, really, at all. But they're getting some saturation going. Now we're going to see the first-person view of Flash yet again, who likes to play in teal because he enjoys the color. I believe that's, maybe the color that Terminators like. I think he's actually starting to build a command center near the middle so he can float it off later on and take it for himself. Now we're going to see the first-person view of Fantasy, who just plays the color that he's given, apparently. Just, hey, I am yellow. Sure, why not? Let's see here. Whew, I'm going to take another ship for my team. Never mind, I'm not going to. Flash going to drop on the right side here. Going to try to take it just so we can move in and encroach. Fantasy had some reinforcements moving in just the exact time, so E is going to just drop on top of the south side of this position. Just going to try to force Flash back desperately. Has some Goliaths in play there as well, some siege tanks. So I don't think Flash is actually going to be able to encroach on top his middle position. Also adding an additional starport from Diction Production. Is that a physics lab? Yes, it is. That is a physics lab, my friends. Do not see anything like that out there from Flash. So we're going to be seeing Fantasy transitioning into battle cruisers. Woohoo! This will be interesting because it doesn't look like Flash is really readying himself for anything like this at all. And this seems like a strictly fantasy thing because no physics lab and nothing being produced from starports. Only 2 starports from there that I can see. It's you just getting those dropships out there. This might be a brilliant maneuver. This might be a brilliant move here from Fantasy. He still has some dropships out there. He's still keeping that south side of the map. He's trying to desperately take the middle there, trying to keep up some gas. And there's still a lot of resources from Flash, for instance, at those 11 o'clock bases because he's not saturating them too heavily. And Fantasy still has resources as all his other bases, but it's still he needs to still put up additional bases, adding in a 4th starport. So he's going to try to produce some battlecruisers. I'm wondering whether he's actually been working upgrades on those because battlecruisers are at their best with some upgrades. It's a big help. Has a couple battlecruisers that are, and I can't see the upgrades because they're showing the first-person view of Flash. Why do you do this to me? Why? Why you do this to me to bring me this pain? Why? Why? I don't know why, but you're cruel people. Very bad. Very bad. So far, only 2 battlecruisers out there. Please, away with this. And doesn't look like Flash has at all an idea. I think that's kind of the point of the first-person view, but I don't think Flash has a clue that it's happening. I'm not quite sure whether I noticed that or not, but I don't really think, I'm not quite sure whether he saw